Hello. So since everyone is in autumn mode and autumn is in a couple days, I thought that I would use this video to share with you some of my autumn favorites. And I tried to condense this down to 5 things. So like 5 of my favorite autumn books, fragrances, candles, activities, recipes, just like an all-encompassing autumnal YouTube video, music as well. So I think that's what we'll do today. I thought about maybe including a video essay, but I don't know if I'm gonna have time to do it this week. I'm recording this on Sunday, so I have a few days, but I'm not sure how my week will go. But I know that we will be doing some autumn favorites just to get everyone in the spirit, or to give you some references to make this season even better. I usually do a very long, essay on my Substack about a bunch of different autumn favorites. So if you would like an expansion on this video, I will include the link to that Substack post in the description. So with that said, let's get into autumnal favorites. I will be cheating. I know that I have some that are more than 5 on this list, but I'm going to try my best to just keep it very short and concise, so that it's easier for you to kind of sift through. Okay, let's start out with books. I've read all of these, but this is what I think is quintessentially autumnal. I genuinely believe that obviously philosophy is all year round, but really I think the season for philosophy is winter. However, there are a few books that I think are really great to integrate into your TBR, and I will have a separate post of like philosophy TBR books. I actually made a TikTok about this as well, which I think I'll include in the description for your reference if you're getting into philosophy or are interested in it. But here are my top 5 picks for philosophy autumnal reading. The first one is Stoner by John Williams, which, if you haven't read, is the story of William Stoner, who is a farm boy and becomes a literature professor and lives a life that looks painfully ordinary from the outside. He has a bad marriage, small victories, disappointments that are stacked up, similar to the way that the leaves fall, and there is absolutely nothing spectacular that happens in this book. But I think the mundanity of this entire novel is the point. It is a quieter book about endurance, loneliness, the kind of melancholy that feels more honest than despair. It is truly the mundanity of life, which feels especially prevalent in today's society. I will never stop recommending Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier. This is about a young woman who marries a wealthy widower and moves into his estate, only to find herself living in the shadow of his late wife, Rebecca, whose presence really lingers in every hallway and every rose in the garden. It is so gothic, eerie, atmospheric. It is soaked in sea air and jealousy, and the love here is not soft. It is jagged and obsessive and unforgettable, and I read this all year round. I highly recommend it if you are looking for an experience of a gothic literature book. I think The Idiot by Dostoevsky is one of the most perfect project books to take on in autumn. It is about Prince Mishkin, who returns to Russia after years abroad. He is so kind and naive for the cruel world that he steps into, and he gets pulled into messy love triangles and betrayals and obsessions that he cannot navigate. And it feels like a candle that is trying to stay lit in a thunderstorm. The novel is so beautiful and chaotic, and it is full of tenderness, but it's always heavy with the sense that everything is slipping away. I am obsessed with The Nun by Dennis Diderot, and this book I read for the first time earlier this year. It's about a young woman who is forced into a convent against her will, and it tells the story of her life inside, which is really the power struggles and the cruelty and the longing, and it's less about faith than it is about captivity and what happens when desire is forced into silence. This is gothic and claustrophobic and haunting, and I devoured this with my whole chest. I loved this book. The next one that I want to recommend to you, which this lives on my altar if it looks familiar to you, it is Perfume by Patrick Susskind, and it is set in 18th century France, and it follows Grenouille, who is a man born with no scent of his own, but this extraordinary nose that can detect every fragrance in the entire world. He becomes obsessed with creating the perfect perfume, even if it means murder. It is a dark fairy tale about obsession and beauty and decay, and the way that scent holds so much power over us. So there you have it. This is your autumnal reading list right here. I think you will find something in here that you absolutely will love. And if you do end up reading these, please let me know how you like them. Let's move into perfume, and here's where I'm gonna cheat a little bit. So the first one I wanna recommend is Poe by Arquiste. This is dark academia in a bottle, in the least gimmicky way. It is built to smell like skin itself. It is salty and musky and woody, and it's intimate without being too sweet. It's very bare, like bare shoulders that you can see in candlelight. It's more ghost than it is body. It's very spiritual, but it's still warm, like you're slipping on a sweater that has just come off somebody else. I'm obsessed with this. I think for fall, I tend to gravitate towards woodier fragrances. When it gets closer to Christmas time, I indulge in a little bit of gourmands, and then in the dead of winter, I retract right back to woods. I love these types of fragrances, so this is one of my favorites. Okay, my next fragrance. This is my favorite Regime de Fleur scent, and it's Falling Trees. And this is juniper, oak moss, smoky incense. It is a damp forest air after the rain. It's green earth. It's solemn and resinous and almost church-like, and it's the kind of scent that makes you feel like twilight is settling in. Not twilight like the vampires, but twilight like from the sky. I love this. I have so many fond memories of this scent, and I vividly remember wearing this at the Met for some reason. So I very much associate this with like actually winter, because that's when I first experienced this, was in the middle of January, just the coldest part of winter. Yeah, I love it. This is so good. This is a scent that will carry you all the way into March and April and the whole year if you're a freak like me. Okay, next we have some Le Labos. This is Gaiac 10. It is the Tokyo exclusive. Just full disclosure, they only have these for the month of September. So if you have any curiosity in smelling them or even sampling them, I highly recommend jumping on it before they disappear for the whole year. So Le Labo exclusives are only in September. Noted. Okay. This is Gaiac wood, which is one of my favorite notes in scent. It is so soft and transparent. It's incense, musk, and quiet smoke. It smells like a Japanese tea house, like in Kyoto in the pouring rain in autumn. Like you're journaling on a rainy day, or you're at a cafe and it's pouring outside. That's what it reminds me of. It's very meditative, but it's clean at the same time and deeply autumnal. I think that people often get a little bit freaked out by an incense note, because I think when people hear incense, they associate it with like yoga studio incense, which I deplore. I do not like that type of scent, and I think that's why so many people are turned off from patchouli as well, because it is associated with this scent that is not it if it is done well. And this is a beautiful fragrance. This is my favorite Le Labo. This one and Thé Noir 29, which, speaking of, I'm cheating. I do recommend Thé Noir 29. It is black tea. Thé Noir is black tea, and it's fig and tobacco, and it's very balmy. And if you've ever smelled the Eau Papanox candle from Diptyque, I feel like this is that in fragrance form. There's also a cedar note, which is another favorite note of mine in fragrance, and it just smells like dried hay and books and smoke and autumn by default. It is soft but also serious and a little bit stormy and stunning. So this is actually a new discovery of mine, and it is because I have been feeling very averse to sweeter scents lately. I'm not quite sure why. Even at bedtime, like I don't want anything sweet really. And I discovered this in an anthropology. This is Bois de Balancourt number 4 by Maison Louise Marie. It is a sandalwood scent that is brightened by cinnamon and nutmeg and vetiver, and it is so sensual and warm and cozy and wearable, and it just like I've gotten a lot of compliments on this when I wear it. It's the kind of fragrance that feels like you are gathering around a fire. It smells like a cashmere sweater. It feels like light that is spilling across wooden floors on a late autumn afternoon. I don't know. It's stunning. It's very cozy without being gourmand, and I don't really know how else to explain it, but if you are feeling a bit gourmand averse and you want something sensual and deep and intimate, I really am quite obsessed with this Bois number 4 by Maison Louise Marie. Moving on to my favorite Byredo scent, 1996. It is a perfume inspired by a photograph. Mixes iris and violet and leather and black amber, and it is very cold and warm all at once. It's a little bit powdery, a little bit smoky. It is very cerebral and sensual, and it feels like you are reading a book, maybe philosophy, by candlelight with a window cracked open and it's raining. Oh, this smells like a jazz bar also. Like, it smells like you're going out with your friends on a Friday. No, you know what? It smells like you're going out by yourself on a Friday or Saturday evening, or maybe even like a Tuesday, to just go to a bar alone and read with no intention of being approached by anybody. We're moving into candles, and I don't have them on me, so I don't have anything to display, but I'm going to do my best to put a photo here for your reference. My favorite candle of all time is right there. It is Altar by Byredo. It is frankincense, myrrh, beeswax. It smells like you are stepping into a cathedral at dusk with oak pews and, yeah, smoke, stained glass. It feels sacred. It feels like Halloween. I don't really know how else to describe it. It kind of reminds me of, this is going to sound off-putting, but it's not, I promise. You know when you were really little and you would go to the store, and like a craft store during Halloween time, and it just kind of, it like had this lingering, it's not cinnamon, it's not the cinnamon pine cone smell, it just smells like a ghostly cathedral and Halloween night, but it doesn't, there's this warmth to it and this depth, and I don't know what it is, and it drives me crazy because I can't put my finger on it, but it's my favorite. I love it so much. I literally love it more than any candle I've ever experienced. Okay, the next one I want to recommend to you is Mary by Trudon. This has clove, patchouli, and leafy greens, and it's very herbal and strange and a little bit unsettling. It's a very holy scent. It actually was made inspired by Mary Shelley when she wrote Frankenstein, which is part of the reason why I got it, but then it didn't hurt that it also smelled really good. This is also a very good wintry candle on a snowy day. Perfect for a snowy day. But it also just smells very gothic in that way. The other candle that I really love is called Amber Oriental by Mise en Serre. This one has amber and spices and resin, and it's very golden and velvety, and it feels like you have wrapped the room in cashmere, and it's stunning. Maybe velvet too. It's my favorite amber candle that I've ever experienced, and another top favorite candle of all time. I notoriously will burn this all year round just because I think it is so cozy and comforting, and it just smells like home. That's the best way I can describe it. There's nothing weird or complicated about it. It's just a very creamy, smooth amber candle, and Mise en Serre did a brilliant job creating this scent. My other favorite candle of all time is Opopanox by Diptyque, which is warm resin. There's this honeyed depth to it, and it's a little bit smoky and golden, balmy, glowing, syrupy almost, soft. It's radiant. It's very difficult to describe, but it smells balmy in a way that is just comforting. Like you are a child and you're being tucked into bed and your mom has just made the sleepy time bear tea and you're really sleepy, but you also don't want to go to bed, but you can't help but fall asleep because you are so at peace. That was a very strange description, but that's kind of like what it reminds me of. That's another like home signature scent for me. Last candle on my list is another Diptyque candle, and it's called Ancre. It's the ink candle, and there's a black licorice note, anise, and a patchouli note, and the combination sounds strange, but it is another favorite Diptyque candle. I think Opopanox and Ancre are my two favorite Diptyque candles of all time. The tuberose one is beautiful too, but I'm not a spring summer girl, so Ancre is the dark academia scent to end all dark academia candles. It is perfect. The throw is beautiful. It's not too strong, not too weak. It is the perfect balance, and I'm obsessed. You should definitely smell it. Don't knock it until you try it. I know black licorice scares people, but it's Halloween and it's perfect, and I think you'll love it. All right, let's move into some films. Number one film of all time, number one autumn film of all time is The Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown. If you don't know the story, Linus waits in the pumpkin patch for a mythical figure, the Great Pumpkin, who never ends up arriving, and while the rest of the Peanuts gang trick-or-treat, he is left in the pumpkin patch with Sally, and it's perfect. It's short and simple and just full of autumn rituals, and it's autumn rendered in a cartoon that is orange and nostalgia and pressed into 25 minutes. Let me tell you about one of my favorite movies of all time, mostly for nostalgic purposes and sentimental reasons, but it's also a great film. And that is Juno, which is about a teenage girl who gets pregnant and decides to give the baby up for adoption. She navigates love and friendship and this very sharp-tongued sense of humor. It is thrift store autumn. Quirky dialogue, mixtapes, and the feeling of wearing a sweater 2 sizes too big. That movie, there has never been a single movie that has ever made me cry. That movie almost makes me cry, and I do know why, but I'm not going to say. It's very sentimental to me, and it feels very much like autumn. So if you're looking for a feel-good autumn movie, go watch Juno. Also, incredible soundtrack too. Speaking of comfort, I cannot mention autumn films without talking about When Harry Met Sally, which is about 2 friends in New York, and it circles around their love that they've had for years between arguing and reconnecting through different seasons until the answer becomes inevitable. It is the quintessential autumn rom-com. There's golden leaves in Central Park, bookstores, bagels, coffee, the diner. Just a very sharp dialogue that still feels fresh and very watchable, even in 2025. Coraline is my other top, like it's easily in my top 5-10 films of all time. If you've not seen Coraline, it's about a young girl who finds a hidden door in her new house that leads her to this alternative world where everything seems better until it turns very sinister. This film is, I want to say comfort film, but it's not. It's definitely not a children's film. My favorite is when I see like mom blogs or like mommy bloggers who are like, Coraline is a cozy Halloween movie. I'm like, I don't know like what normal 6-year-old child would want to watch Coraline. Maybe me, but like most kids probably don't want to watch that. But it is a great film. Fuck Neil Gaiman, but Coraline is an absolute brilliant piece of cinema and literature. I love the book as well, but just the atmosphere. I watched this video essay about bugs in Coraline, the importance of bugs in that film, and it was fascinating. And if I remember, I will put it up on the screen for you guys to watch if you're curious about stuff like that. So it's a fairy tale with teeth. It's eerie and enchanting all at once. Okay, last film is Over the Garden Wall, which is about two brothers who get lost in a very strange, timeless forest and meet talking animals, haunted villages, and a lantern-bearing figure. It's very whimsical and unsettling and full of folk songs and pumpkins that walk. And it is the definitive autumn mood piece. Like, it's quintessentially autumn, in my opinion. There are so many other films that I could recommend. There are bitchy French films that feel autumnal. There are other like animated, like Fantastic Mr. Fox and other cartoon animations that I love for this season. So again, if you want that deeper dive where I mention a lot more films, check out my Substack. I'm going to rapid fire through these last two sections of recipes and activities just because I might lose some of you here. But for recipes, I think pumpkin bread is quintessential, spiced batter, the house filled with cinnamon and nutmeg from the baking bread as it rises. I feel like the kitchen very much becomes a sanctuary during autumn. There is nothing that feels cozier than warm bread, especially during this season. And the smell is just a kind of comfort that lingers even after you're done baking it. The other thing I love making is apple recipes, like specifically apple spiced bread, apple spiced muffin, apple oatmeal, but spice muffins are so yummy. Like apples grated into batter. I think that they're perfect eaten in the morning with coffee. And yeah, it's just stunning. The other thing that feels very comforting to me during this time is some recipes that I grew up with as a child. I had a pretty diverse religious upbringing. My dad's side was all Catholic. My mom's side was Seventh-day Adventist. And I vividly remember the Seventh-day Adventist foods. We had very strange family recipes, but they still feel very comforting during this time of year. If you are Seventh-day Adventist, you will know what I'm talking about, but they're very specific to this strange cultish religion that I do not belong to. But yeah, I also very much love chili and cornbread. My Halloween tradition every single year, ever since I can remember, is to make homemade chili and cornbread. And on Halloween, you let it simmer like in the crock pot all day, and you make homemade cornbread, and you eat it before you go trick-or-treating. I love passing out candy to kids. It is like, I love trick-or-treaters so much. Even the older kids, like, come to me, please. Like, I love making kids feel like super festive and excited and about the holiday. Like, I hate when people like berate teenagers for wanting to trick-or-treat. Like, if they're disrespectful, if they're taking candy, then yeah, like obviously that's really shitty. But like, I just think it's exciting that kids actually want to be kids and like get off of fucking social media to go trick-or-treating. Like, isn't that what we want? I don't know. Maybe that's just me. But I love trick-or-treaters. I love passing out candy. I love watching scary movies. I love going trick-or-treating myself. I don't care. With friends, it's so fun. Sometimes like I'll bring candy and I'll swap. Like, I don't know. Yeah, doing that and eating chili and cornbread. It's perfect in my opinion. We also make these Halloween cookies every year. It's like a family recipe, and they're these ginger spiced molasses cookies, and we bake them the night before and decorate them on Halloween day. And when I was little, my grandparents used to come over and we would bake them for them as well, so that was super fun. Last recipe I want to mention is butternut squash soup. Any soup. Also pumpkin soup. But it is soup season, so I hope that you invest in a really nice crock pot or a cast iron Dutch oven or something like that, where you can make and simmer soups all day. It is going to be your best investment for autumn and winter. Okay, Last section, activities. Number 1, apple picking. Wandering through rows of trees with cool, crisp, sharp air, filling your baskets with fruit that tastes so much better because you're actually picking it yourself. Getting apple cider donuts, like the homemade apple spiced sugar cinnamon donuts, and homemade apple pie to bring home. Chef's kiss. That is the best autumn activity because it's still early in the season where like you get to be super excited about more autumnal activities. And on a cloudy day with your best friend or your partner or your family, going to the apple orchard and picking apples, and like that is quintessentially autumnal. In the same breath, going to the pumpkin patch is also pivotal. I think pumpkin patch, pumpkin carving, roasting pumpkin seeds, having like a pumpkin carving party is such a fun idea. Like having your closest friends come over and watch scary movies and carve pumpkins or paint them. Perfect. I already mentioned the Halloween cookies, but I think that that's a great activity. Like even hosting a Halloween cookie party or hosting a jazzy, intimate dinner party is also a really great fall activity. And I think just like in general, enjoying cozier evenings at home where afternoons are blurring into the evening and you have puzzles spread across the table and a pot of tea steeping and films looping in the background and books stacked nearby and soup simmering on the stove. It's the kind of coziness that makes you forget what time it is and where you are, and it's just escapism at its pure finest. I know I mentioned earlier that I was going to talk about music, and I think instead I'll leave you with some playlists in the description, but I'm somebody who listens to jazz and classical music more than any other genre throughout the entire year, but I know that autumn feels a lot jazzier to some people, so I have made some really good playlists over the years. I have a mellow jazzy playlist, I have an autumn jazzy playlist, I have a nostalgic vintage jazzy playlist, classical music, I have a Halloween playlist. I have lots of good music that I will give to you in the description. So hopefully this helps. Hopefully you feel in the spirit, and I'm excited to hear about your traditions. Tell me what you love to do in autumn in the comments. Wait, I told you I was gonna cheat. These are some really good autumn fragrances too. Autumn and Winter, Le Lion and Portrait of a Lady. These are very sexy fragrances. If you want an autumn night out, highly, highly recommend. This is femme fatale. This will get you chased down the street. Very sexy scent. This is sophisticated, very, very sophisticated woman in a wool coat. That is like, you want to get to know this person wearing this fragrance because they have taste. Okay, I'm done now. Before I leave you today, I have acquired some really cool used books. So I'm going to share them with you. Some of them are going to go, I need to clip my microphone on my shirt. That's awkward. Let's see. There we go. Okay, let me tell you about the books that I have found. First, No Longer Human by Dazai. This was the first book that I read this year, and I think it's my favorite read of the year. It's very depressing, and I love it, and it's only to be read in winter and in deep autumn. It's still too early to read this right now, but I love this book. Make sure you check your trigger warnings on this though. There's lots of drugs, addiction, suicide, all of that stuff. So check your trigger warnings. This cover is stunning. It used to have this very hot pink cover, which I was not super fond of, but this is nice. And it's a hardcover, so I have a lot of thoughts on that, but she's okay. She's an exception. I have been wanting to read Là-Bas for a while. I found this copy of it. This like vintage copy. I don't even know what edition this is, but I thought it was pretty cool. I have 2 copies of this actually, but this is kind of falling apart, so I'll probably actually read from the other copy. This is a very vulgar book, so I think I'm going to read this on Halloween or in October. This is like a really good October TBR. This I'm really excited about. This is called The Saturation Project by Christine Hume. And I actually heard of this. It's kind of like a genre-defying book, similar to Clarice Lispector. And I'm excited about this. It's kind of like horror philosophy. I heard about this through a creator on TikTok. And if I remember to do so, which I'm hoping that I do, I will tag them below. But I'm excited about this. I'm excited about the whole genre of philosophy through the lens of horror, especially for autumn and winter. Now, this is probably the book that I'm most excited to read next month, which is Mal de Dor by La Tremont, and I'm obsessed with this cover. I feel like a lot of books that I've been reading lately have this weird theme of eyes. Like, what's the other book that I just read that had a big eye on the cover? I need to find it. But like, you guys see, like, it's kind of freaky. I love it. I'm very excited about this book. And then I have A Spy in the House of Love by Anais Nin, but I just really, really very much loved this cover, and it was a very good price, so I got it. One thing about me, I'm kind of the person where, like in all things in my life, if I really like something, I'll buy it in a different color, or I'll buy multiple of the same thing. Like, I don't really need different variations of something that I like. I don't need to deviate into different variations of the things that I like because I know what I like. And let me see. There we go. So if I really love an author like Clarice Lispector, for example, and I find a special edition of her book, even if I already have it, I love collecting stuff like that and adding it to my collection. Similar with Anais. Like, I love Anais Nin. Anais and Clarice are probably one of my 2 favorite authors, and it felt very fitting. I can't remember if I showed you guys these in my last video because the days are starting to blur together, but I did get this Kierkegaard anthology, which love the cover here as well. Stunning. This book covers either or, Fear and Trembling, Stages on Life's Way, Works of Love, The Sickness Unto Death, and more. Love Kierkegaard, one of my favorite philosophers, because I love reading philosophy also through the lens of theology. I am reading the Bible this year cover to cover, so it's very interesting for me to pair it with different philosophers who very much focus on theology. This one, and then this one, Dostoevsky, Kierkegaard, Nietzsche, and Kafka. It is going to be a philosophy fall, and I'm very excited because these are the perfect months for consuming this type of literature if you are into that sort of thing. I am so excited to read this book. Oof. I want to read it early so bad, but it hasn't even been the first day of fall, so I'm not going to do that to myself. I'll read you the blurb. One of the earliest and most extraordinary examples of surrealist writing. This book unveils a world that is half vision, half nightmare of angels and grave diggers, hermaphrodites and homosexuals, madmen and strange children. As a sublime misfit wanders through a dream universe, Maldador observes human evil and kindness, and through Lautremont's metaphysical anguish, the outrage and violence of our own age is expressed in many ways. Yeah, I'm excited. I found my other eye from this month. We have Kafka's eye, we have Dazai's eye, and we have Maldador's eye. What is this? What is this? This is crazy. Witchy people, come to me, tell me what this means. Please, I want to know what this means. Everything that I'm reading has eyes. Okay, that's all for today's video. I really wanted to get to another philosophy essay, but I did not have time. I will be better about my timing. Next week, we'll do monthly favorites and a philosophy essay. I'm trying to decide what I want to talk about next with you. So if there's something top of mind that you would like me to cover from a philosophy standpoint or a video essay standpoint, please comment below and tell me what you want me to talk about next. What is of interest to you? I really love feedback. I love your ideas. I want this to be a reciprocal relationship, so talk to me in the comments.